This is football. I'm Kevin Clark. Guys, this guy needs no introduction. It's Calvin Johnson, one of the best receivers of all time. We get into a lot here. Not only do we get into the Lions, what they look like with Dan Campbell taking over play calling, he's got some insight on that. We ought to talk about the best receivers in football, the guys that remind him of him, why his record hasn't been broken, single season record for yardage hasn't been broken, who might be able to do that, and then just a lot of fun stuff. Okay. He shouts out Roman Reigns, his college teammate at Georgia Tech. He talks about the Ramblin' Wreck. As a reminder, This is Football is presented by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Download the app today. 21 plus gambling problem. Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Ladies and gentlemen, Calvin Johnson. All right, Calvin Johnson is here, one of the best wide receivers in history. He is also the head of the Calvin Johnson Jr. Foundation. He's doing something with Real Truck. I want to talk about that at the end. I want to start here. I just mentioned what's behind you with the shelves. What's the most important thing on that shelf? I like football wise. I know I'm the same way. I'm just going to say pictures of my family, but football wise, what did you keep that's really cool to you?
Football wise, I mean, I don't know. I got a couple game balls and stuff like that. Some of them are significant because they might be on birthdays of family members or my sons. Got a Hall of Fame bus back there, so that's pretty significant. But everything has a lot of significance back there. I might have something from like a game ball where my mom had an injury where she found out she had cancer. It's like all kinds of stuff like that. So there's a lot of significance to everything back there.
When you have that as many milestones as you had, when do you save the game balls? Just on days like that when it's like, hey, I know this day is important to me. I want to remember it in 15 years.
I mean, you hit it right on the head there. There's a bunch of game balls, but the ones that really mean something, so like you said, the ones that fall on birthdays and stuff like that for my kids, and yeah, it has to be a lot of significance behind it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Because I think a lot of people, it's like, all right, we'll get the 100th touchdown or whatever. But it's like the stuff that means something is like, hey, I caught 2 touchdowns on my kid's birthday. Like that's the stuff that really resonates.
Yep, 100%.
All right, let's talk about Lions real quick. Dan Campbell took over play calling duties on Sunday against the Commanders. Jared Goff looks like had one of the best, like statistically, had one of the best performances of the season by any quarterback. Watching the Lions, knowing how their offense works, knowing how it should work. What'd you see, and what do we think of Dan Campbell's play calling?
I mean, obviously, Dan did a great job. Anytime you put 40 on the board, you've had some success in offense. So hopefully we see more of that. He was getting the playmakers the ball. J-Mo was getting the ball. The guys were making plays. They're running the ball well. Jameer, David Montgomery. So on offense, I feel like we were clicking, even though we had new people or some of the linemen. They're still learning the ropes, but it seems like they're well accustomed to the ways now. That Dan is doing things over there. So kudos to Dan. Great job there. I mean, that was a game I feel like we needed to go out there and really show, what we can do on offense. And I think that we put it on full display, especially after, what happened the previous week.
Tell me something. Just being around, you play with Dan Campbell. You know Dan Campbell. You also know Detroit. You know the culture that he's built. I'm sure you've been around a lot. Tell me something that the normal fan or even media member doesn't understand about what Dan Campbell has done in Detroit.
It goes back to just the history of the Detroit Lions. Fans have struggled. I hear it all the time. It's been so long. And you hear that from so many fans that and then on top of that, knowing that Detroit or just Michigan in general is a through and through sports state. We rep our teams in state. Through and through. And then knowing, like I said, haven't had any success until recent. And this recent success, it comes, amongst like I say, like the blue collar people of the city.
Yeah.
Really, it's just like it's what Detroit is. Dan is what Detroit is. He's a hardworking man. He's going to put the work in. He's not really about to talk. He's about putting the work in. And then we see that day in, day out. From our team and obviously from him as a head coach. And, when things aren't working, he's going to find a solution. And, like I say, he might have felt things weren't going the way they needed to go on offense. So he stepped in and created a solution there in himself.
Tell me something about Dan Campbell, the player. We had Todd Haley on the show, and Todd was an assistant under Parcells. And he said that there was one day The Parcells didn't like the attitude in practice, didn't like that there wasn't a lot of urgency. He just sent Dan Campbell out to start a brawl. And it's like that was Dan Campbell. He was the guy he sounded to start a brawl. So tell me when you're lined up in an offense with him, what that's like for Dan Campbell.
When I think back to Dan Campbell on our playing days together, and I played with him 2 years in my
Yeah.
first 2 years of my career here in Detroit. I think back at Dan Campbell. I remember it was almost like a RoboCop because he had this whole little deal on his shoulder because his shoulder was jacked up. But one thing I remember about Dan, man, Dan's just about getting the job done. Dan's like a Marine. He's whatever by any means necessary, he's going to get the job done. And the man proceeded to just start, the whole season, even with a bum shoulder, and still have success. Catching ball, making his blocks. And he was more of a blocking tight end. He still caught the ball, but to be able to go out there and get the job done against, we were playing against some dogs there in the NFC North back in the day, and he was still able to have success and do the job that he had to do. It just speaks to the character of who
Yeah.
who this head coach is, and to have him as your head coach, it's easy for you as a player to buy in when you have somebody that has been there, done that on the level that Dan has.
Yeah, completely agree. I met Aaron Glenn, who's now a head coach. He told me one time when I was there in Allen Park, like players can smell a fraud a mile away, and they know that Dan is not that. And I think that I think is the unheralded part of it is everybody buys in because they know Dan is telling the truth no matter what he says.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah. All right, so obviously you're one of the best wide receivers ever. Is there a wide receiver now? And it's okay if the answer is no. Is there a wide receiver now who reminds you of yourself?
Yeah, man, there's a couple out there for sure. When these guys are humming and these guys are getting the ball and making plays, like you got a DK Metcalf, big frame guys that can make plays on the ball in the air, and then AJ Brown. That's another guy that like I love when when they got this guy, when they're getting this guy the ball. I love how he can make plays on the ball down the field. He's not afraid to use his hands. Catching the ball over his shoulder, going up and high pointing the ball. Obviously, Jamar Chase, he's really the top receiver, especially if he has a quarterback throwing the ball. I mean, not many guys are really on his level. Justin Jefferson, there's so many guys, but as far as those big frame guys like DK, I mean, DK's probably the closest as far as size. I was 6'5", 240 what I played at. I'm not exactly sure what DK is, but he's a big dude.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Do you think receivers are better now? Because I mean, you met like someone once told me one time, someone from the NFL told me when your testing numbers came in, it was like a bomb went off in the NFL because they just hadn't seen that type of athleticism with your size. And I'm curious, like, do you think now because of 7-on-7s, because of all sorts of different reasons, like everybody's always getting bigger, stronger, faster, the receivers now are better, or is it just easier because of the rule changes? Like, how do you view the evolution of the receiver position, Calvin?
I honestly expected, and it still can happen. I'm expecting more of an explosion, honestly. It seems like the rules are lax or not really lax for defense. They're more, the defense they're not getting away with as much
Right.
at the end of the day. So I was expecting, more of an explosion as far as what we'll see as yards per season and just my record, for instance. I didn't expect that to still be standing at this point. Is that one, they added a game, and two, you got that, you can't really touch the receiver nowadays. So, I mean, I expected that thing to be gone a couple of years ago when the guys were getting close, and then, it still hasn't fallen. So, I mean, it is what it is, but it's a combination of, yes, guys are definitely getting better because they had guys like, I had like the guys like, Jerry, Randy to look to like, oh, I want to do that and put it into my own and make it my own. Now you got these guys taking like the things that I did, the things that Jerry did, Larry Fitzgerald, all those things and making it and putting it into their own package. So it will always continuously be guys that really are able to take the talent level to the next level. And we're seeing that with some of those guys that I mentioned.
You mentioned obviously most receiving yards in a season, 1,964, hasn't been broken, nor has most consecutive 100-yard receiving games. So the extra game comes in and you say, oh, there goes my record. Like you just thought there's just too many good guys out there. You thought it was going to fall immediately.
I really did. I just knew that extra game was going like that's that extra game. It's going to give them
the
edge. Yeah.
Who do you think has the best chance to break it out of anybody?
Jamar Chase has a chance if his quarterback is healthy. Justin Jefferson, I thought Tariq would have a chance. We'll see. I don't know. After his injury, because he was there's a couple of years there where he was like 17, 18. He might even hit 19. Um, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know right now. Oh, I mean, what's the young kid in Tampa? I like this kid. I'm keeping my radar on him.
Oh, Ibuka.
He can be really good.
Yeah.
And there's definitely young guys I'm leaving out.
Yep.
No, I really can't call him.
Jackson Smith and Jigba up in Seattle is having an incredible year.
Was killing it. Like he's like if there's somebody that's gonna have a chance this year, it'll be him.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. You should be like Eric Dickerson. You should be very protective of that. Like it's history.
Hey, once they added the game, I was like, oh, there it goes. I'm appreciative.
Hey.
I've done it for so long. How many years has it been? I don't even know when that happened, but yeah, I've held it down for a little while now, so I'll take it.
Yeah, no, it was I think it was 2012, something like that. 2011. The passing boom started. 2011 is when the numbers started to skyrocket for everybody. And then but obviously you can't touch greatness. You can't touch greatness. You're all, you're untouchable right now. This is betting is brought to you by ESPN Bet Sportsbook. Bet $10 to get $100 in bonus bets when you use code Clark. 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right. Monday night, picked up a loss. It's okay. I don't pick up back-to-back losses. Simply doesn't happen. I think I made that up. But let's zero in on something. So I don't love betting big numbers like this, but the Ravens are 8.5-point favorites on the road. Their defense is in the same mode it was in last year, which they were the best defense in the NFL for the second half of the season. They're getting there. The way they're deploying Kyle Hamilton is really special. The way Malachi Starks had that interception, Marlon Humphrey had that interception against Minnesota. They're leading the NFL right now in holding opposing offenses under 17 points. They're playing the 2-7 Cleveland Browns. I don't know how hard I have to sell you on that particular pick once I tell you they're playing the 2-7 Cleveland Browns. Okay. Dillon Gabriel. It sounds like Shadur Sanders is just not, even though he's number 2 there in the quarterback room, sounds like he's just not going to play. So this is Dillon Gabriel's show. This is a Ravens defense coming into its own. Yeah, I think the Ravens are going to buy a lot of points. Give me the Ravens, 8.5-point favorites on the road, Sunday, 4:00. Bam. All right, so I have a question. So a lot of times on this show, we talk about trash talkers and guys who are chirping all the time. And a lot of times, and there's a couple of guys who I think of from your era, Aaron Donald, Larry Fitzgerald. A lot of times people say, hey, we never chirped that guy because we were scared of him. You're never going to try to get in that guy's head. Okay. I'm curious. Did guys try you a lot? Did they try to get inside your head? Or did they just leave you alone because you're such a force?
Only time I would hear trash talk or any kind of trash talk was like on like Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, kind of like when we're probably like Tuesday or Wednesday, we're in front of the media and they're asking us questions that one day a week that we have that we're obligated to share with them. And that would be the only time I would hear any kind of trash talk was it through somebody on the other team coming through the media, and I hear it that way. If that was even actually how it was said, if it was out of context, who knows? But during the game time, nobody really said anything. There was nobody, there was no like. There might have been a lineman, lineman might have said something, but no, the defensive backs, the safety, nobody really talked trash.
I think I got to remember. I think it was Andrew Whitworth was talking about how sometimes his receivers would talk trash to the D lineman, like "Shut up!" Like if you're not guarding them, I don't want to hear you talk. Like that's probably the same for you, where it's like some defensive tackles coming over chirping you, and the cornerback's like, "Get out of here!"
I bet my lineman would be pissed at me if I was chirping at the defensive line.
Yeah.
Your ass ain't got to go against them.
All right. We got to talk about your Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, who look really, really, really good. Haynes King is a dog. I went to Miami. I saw it firsthand last year where he was hurt for a month. He comes back. He can't even throw the damn football, Calvin. And he's beaten Miami, who I think was the number 3 team in the country at that point, with Cam Ward. Okay. Take me through when you watch the Yellow Jackets, the Ramblin' Wreck on Saturday, what you're seeing from this ball club.
Man, I go back to like we were talking about Dan, man. They're fortunate to have a great coach in Brent Key that brings that same kind of authenticity that we're talking about with Dan and that grit. He brings all those same great quality traits that as a player you want to see in your head coach that make you want to emulate, that make you want to run through a wall for him. So that's what he brings to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets first and foremost. And talking about King, I mean, the kid, man, the guy is just a gamer. I mean, whatever needs to be done, the guy's willing to get it done. And that's the same mindset that the rest of that team carries. Those 4 of them, I mean, that's why they're what are they, 8-1 now?
Mhm.
Or 9 or whatever they are. You know, Hasten, they lost to NC State a couple
Yeah.
weeks hurt. But nonetheless, you know, it's beautiful to see the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets, you know, doing their thing on the flats there in Atlanta.
Yeah, it's incredible to see him. Brent Key's amazing. He got on my radar, obviously. I'm from Orlando, so I knew him. He was on my radar when he was UCF coach. But
Yeah.
when he beat Florida State a couple years ago, when nobody thought Georgia Tech had a chance, and all of a sudden he's running the ball down their throat, and afterwards he says, "Run the damn ball" into the ESPN microphone. Like, that's a genuine dude. It takes a lot of guts, not only to beat a Florida State team people thought was top 5 going into the season, but then to run it down their throats and then say, "Run the damn ball" like that. Again, it does remind. Good point. It reminds you a little bit of Dan Campbell. Just like, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do it. We're gonna tell you we're gonna do it.
100%. You know, and then, like I say, he has such high expectations, you know, for his team, and just those guys, you know, just you know, bringing their energy and their focus to each and every day, so that you know, throughout the week, you know, if you prepare during the week, you know, you do what you're supposed to do during the week, it translates to Saturday or
Yeah.
Sunday, or whatever day it is, and they really focus on having great preparation. So that's one thing I commend Brent on, and like I say, just being his authentic self.
Yep. All right, a couple more for you. We have something called badasses. Most badass person you've ever been around in football. Could be somebody from your Detroit time. Could be somebody from Georgia Tech. Doesn't matter. Just the
Oh
toughest,
yeah,
meanest guy. I mean, we got
yeah.
your Dominic Raiola is back here because Dan Orlovsky put him in. Like, we got some dudes back here on this board. So give me your badass, Calvin Johnson.
Man, this is so tough. Can I give you two?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so I go back to my Georgia Tech days, and I got to go back to my dog Joe Anawai, aka Roman Reigns.
Yes.
True badass by definition.
Wait, let's talk about this. Being teammates with Roman Reigns. What was that like? I mean, that's a dude.
I mean, this is way before we even knew that he would have success and go down the route that he did. But he was a guy that you did not want to cross on the football field. The guy was a game record. He made plays. And so, you know, so for him to have success that he's had, obviously he had the cancer battle and he come back strong from it. You know, we didn't expect anything less because we knew Joe. Joe's always been a fighter. He's always put his best effort, best attitude forward. And you see it with the success that he's having nowadays. And it was awesome to be a captain with him because it was a cold. We had a cold picture with Reggie Ball, Joe Anawai, and myself. We always wore the mirror visors back in the day, so we were pretty nice.
We'll find it. Do you get tackled a lot by him in practice? Was it harder than most guys or what?
Hell no. We didn't ones on ones. No. Coach knew not to put the stars against each other. We needed them for Saturday. Coach.
I love it. I love that. Who's the other guy?
Yeah, Don Raiola. You know, that's a madman. You know, he was 6'1", 2, started like 14 years in Detroit at center, you know, held it down, and just a madman on the field. Great dude off the field, great family man. But talking about somebody that can flip the switch when they go in across those lines and is a whole different person, he's an animal when you cross the line. So that's that man.
Real quick with Roman Reigns, are you a wrestling guy or you just catch it when it's on?
I was a wrestling guy growing up, kind of fell off of it as I got older. You know, I grew up watching, you know, all the guys. You know, Sting, favorite back in the day.
Sting?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, a legend. So, but you catch Roman if he's on TV or the pay-per-view. Yeah, just
trophy down and all that. Yep.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right. Last thing for you. We're talking about Real Truck, Ann Arbor-based truck company, partnering with the Calvin Johnson Jr. Foundation. Tell us about it.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. What Real Truck is doing, and doing in the community. I'm not the first, but I'm definitely the one that they're working with right now as far as contributing the auction winnings to my foundation when the auction happens for this beautiful truck that has the Megatron logo is all customized, running lights, you know, custom LEDs. It's beautiful. But the main purpose and the reason why we came together because we had synergy with the things that we're doing in the community. My foundation focuses on providing opportunities for youth. And one way that we do that, and one of our main initiatives is provide scholarships for those students in Atlanta, in Detroit. So we really focus on being able to, you know, help our young student athletes become the best versions of themselves and the best are the most productive members for society, and helping them to achieve their goals by providing financial and educational resources. So that's what we've been doing since 2008. If anybody wants to participate, CalvinJohnsonJr.Foundation.com,
Nice.
Google it, and there's a way to participate, donate, golf outings, all those things. We have fun, but at the end of the day, it's all about serving major need in both those areas.
Beautiful. Worthy cause. Calvin, thank you so much, buddy.
I appreciate you having me. You have a great one.
All right.